Hi folks, I'm Dr. Gary Minorik. I'm a chiropractor from the Copley-Farallon area, and I've been practicing here for almost 30 years. Over that time, we've treated many cases of back pain, neck pain, headaches, and a multitude of other symptoms that we've been able to successfully help. One of the things we've always thought, though, is if we could teach people how to prevent these things from happening, they would be much better off. So we created a program years ago on back injury prevention, and I'd like to share a lot of those videos that we've shared with patients over the time with the Copley-Farallon Wellness Fair. I always start this workshop out with some alarming statistics. First off, 80% of us at one time or another will have a back injury or a back problem. The second statistic is that 50% of Americans have chronic back pain by the age of 60. That's a pretty high number. Chronic back pain is back pain that never goes away. And back pain really is only second to the common cold for days that people miss from work. So it costs a lot of money for corporations also. The number one thing we can do to help you or help our patients is teach them how to improve their posture. Mom said stand tall, walk tall, be tall, and Mom was right. So these things that we're going to share with you today are tips and advice on how to improve your posture through things like standing, sitting, and laying down. Enjoy the following videos. Okay, so basically there are two rules for standing postures. Rule number one, we want to keep our spine in line with gravity. And rule number two, we want to bend at the hips and the knees, not at the waist. I asked Janelle to go ahead and do it incorrectly the first time. So she's going to bend at the waist. Go ahead and bend forward. You can see that gravity pulls on her upper torso and pulls that towards the ground, causing all kinds of tightness and restriction in motion in her lower back. Go ahead and stand up, Janelle. This time we're going to do it the correct way. We're going to bend at the hips and the knees, not at the waist. Go ahead and bend forward. You can see she's bent at the hip and the knee, not at the waist. She picks up the object and carries it to where she needs to carry it. Those are our two rules for standing. The next videos will actually share with you some daily activities that we use standing postures in. So one of the things patients ask me about a lot is vacuuming. Vacuuming can be really hard on your back because this vacuum cleaner typically will weigh somewhere between 25 and 35 pounds. And most patients, when they vacuum, they kind of nail one foot to the floor and they nail the other foot to the floor, and they try to get every piece of that carpet before they move their feet again. And the problem is, as soon as you do this here, you've got that 35 pounds or 30 pounds pulling on your lower back. And if we can just change the procedure here a little bit, and what I'd like to do is have you bring that vacuum cleaner in close to you, and I want you to dance with your vacuum cleaner. Just dance with your vacuum cleaner. Get throughout the whole room, but just move it a little bit at a time. Try not to stretch and pull that vacuum out like this, causing pressure to develop on that back. Make sure you're bringing it close to you. That'll help you with vacuuming. So standing postures can be really difficult when we're at the sink. When we're using a dishwasher, when we're peeling potatoes, when we're doing the dishes by hand. So all of these things are real important, but you can imagine if I'm standing at the sink and I'm peeling potatoes, I'm going to be bent over like this, and that puts quite a strain on my back. One of the tips that we use throughout our patient care program is what we call the footrest rule. Basically, if we have you open up this cabinet, and what we're going to do while you're standing at the sink is we're going to put one foot up onto that cabinet, and you can see how that caused my back to stand straighter or to come into more of a straight position, and that will definitely take some strain. It's still not the best position for us to be in, but it'll take some strain off of that lower back. So the footrest rule. Now we'd like you to switch feet occasionally so that you take pressure off of each hip and you change the pressure on the hips also. But again, it's called the footrest rule. One of the tips we find to be most important for patients is how to lift properly and to make sure that we're lifting, whether it's a laundry basket or a golf ball or a grandchild in the right position. So as we talked, when we're standing, we want to make sure we bend at the hips and the knees, not at the waist. We want to keep our spine in line with gravity, but we want to bring this object in close to us. We don't want to reach out for the object, whether it's a grandchild or a golf club or a laundry basket. We want to bring it in close to us and make sure we bend at the hips and the knees, not at the waist. Keep our spine in line with gravity and go ahead and lift that object and take it where it needs to go. In the case of a grandchild or a child, we want to make sure we really keep that object in close to us, because the further the weight gets out here, the more stress on our lower back and our neck and shoulders. I just wanted to come out and show you a little bit about some tips on shoveling. So the first one being that you should probably wear gloves and a hat, but I didn't bring them to work today, so ultimately, if you get out, stay warm, stay safe. Secondly, if you have to shovel, we want to make sure that you're pushing the snow whenever you can. We don't want you to lift the snow. As I shovel this, you can see it's pretty light, which is helpful today. But as we're pushing this, what we want to do is make sure that we don't lift this if we don't have to. If I can just stop right here and leave that snow right there, it's a lot better. Now, if I have to lift, there's a couple of ways to do that. We're basically going to push the snow. I'm going to bend at my hips and my knees, not at my waist. When you bend at your waist, you're going to cause stress on your lower back. So we want to bend at the hips and the knees, not at the waist. Lift with the muscles of your legs, not the muscles of your back, and then toss that to where you need to. Of course, if you can get away with a broom, like I think we'll be able to do today, sweeping is probably better for you too. When you shovel, we only want you to shovel for about 30 minutes at a time, max. One of the biggest problems is people end up with stress on their back and stress on their chest, and obviously heart issues, potentially a problem. So protect your back, protect your heart, stay healthy. In the office, we share with our patients that there are 4 rules for seated postures. If you spend more than 1 hour a day in a seated posture, it's extremely important that you follow these 4 rules in order to keep the pressure off of your back and neck. Rule number 1, we'd like you to use the chair's back support. So if you sit on the edge of the chair, that's not going to be good for your back. We want to make sure you scoot all the way back into the chair. And if you can't get all the way back in the chair, get yourself a support or a pillow that can fit between you and the back of that chair. Rule number 2, we'd like you to keep your legs parallel to the ground. If you find that you're reaching for the floor or your knees are kind of up in your chest, that chair is probably not the best for you. We want you to get a different chair. So your legs should be parallel to the ground. Rule number 3, the computer monitor should be directly in front of you and just below eye level. Too many times people are looking up at the computer screen or looking down, and it can cause neck and upper back pain. Last but not least, if you're typing, we want to make sure that you bring your elbows into your side and that you're typing in this position. If you bring your arms out here and you're typing out here, you can cause all kinds of neck and arm pain. Or if you're in a position that you're jamming them in too tight, that can be a problem too. So just keep your elbows tucked into the side, keep your fingers on the keyboard in that position. We're going to share a video with you that I shot a little while ago that talks a little bit about how texting and watching video on a computer or an iPad can be detrimental to the muscles and the musculature in your neck. We think Verizon and Apple are going to keep chiropractors busy for a long, long time. So enjoy this video, take a few of the tips and share them with your family. I think it'll make a big difference for them too. I wanted to take some time today and talk a little bit about our most common question we get here in the office. And that is, how do I set up my workstation, whether it's a computer, a monitor, a laptop, a iPad, or even a cell phone. One of the most common things we want to try to do is keep our computer monitor or the screen just below eye level and directly in front of us. This computer is a great example of that. If I sit at this computer properly, I want to keep this just below eye level and directly in front of me. It gets a little more difficult with a laptop. As long as the laptop is left on a desk or on a coffee table or on a pillow to get it in the right position, we get that extra support. But once that laptop is brought down onto our lap, we end up having problems because we're pulling down on the neck muscles and causing us to look at the screen in a downward position. This becomes even more difficult with an iPad. We tend to watch our iPad with our head down in this position most of the time. If we can bring that iPad into this position here, it will make a big difference reducing the strain and stress on the neck and those big muscles of the upper back. Last but not least, I laugh, we talk all the time how Verizon and Sprint and these companies, along with Apple and these computers, are going to keep chiropractors busy for years to come because everybody spends their time with their head in this position texting or making phone calls. If we can get this phone up into this position here for texting or making a phone call, it will make a ton of difference on the stress of your neck and upper back. A posture position that you find yourself laying down like sleeping, there are basically 3 rules. Rule number 1, we want to make sure that you're never sleeping on your stomach. When you sleep on your stomach, it causes you to arch your back and twist and turn your head for a period of time throughout the night. We get a lot of patients who come in that say, I was sleeping incorrectly and it caused me to have some neck pain in the morning. So if we can, we'd like you to do rule number 2. And rule number 2 is we'd like you to lay on your back. Go ahead and turn over, Janelle. When you're laying on your back, we'd like you to use a good supportive pillow underneath your neck and a good supportive pillow underneath your knees. That helps take pressure off the lower back. And rule number 3, I get a lot of patients that say, I can't let my husband or wife sleep in that position because they snore. So we came up with rule number 3. If you can't sleep in this position, sleeping in the fetal position is okay. So we're going to have Janelle turn to the fetal position. The fetal position actually is with your knees up and with your arms and elbows tucked up also into the side, taking pressure off your lower back. Now throughout the night, we'd like you to switch sides if you can in this position. Many times patients ask me what type of mattress they should use, or in addition to that, what position they should sleep in. And although we don't recommend a specific brand name mattress, we do think it's important to have a firm mattress with a good spring count. In addition to that, they make comfort pillows or a comfort top for those mattresses, and I think it's important to have a comfort top so that the springs help support you, and in addition to that, the comfort will give you that comfortable feel throughout the night. In addition, people ask, what position should I sleep in? And we always tell people the best position is on your back with a good pillow underneath your knees and a good pillow underneath your legs too. Something similar to this right here. Now, a lot of times people will say, hey, my husband snores when he's in this position. So we do let people sleep in what we call the fetal position also. And the fetal position is the side position. But what we'd like to make sure people do is that you stay on your side, not necessarily bringing one leg up like this and twisting and torquing, causing all types of stress on your lower back. One of the subjects that parents ask me about all the time is backpacks. What's the right type of backpack to use? How much weight should be in the backpack, or how many books can be in the backpack? And you know, it's amazing because there's more than 5,000 backpack injuries that cause emergency room visits every year. So that's a pretty significant number from the kids lifting way too much weight and carrying way too much weight. First and foremost, a backpack should never exceed 10% of the child's body weight. So if that child weighs 100 pounds, the backpack should have no more than 10 pounds in it. Any more weight than that will cause excess stress and strain on the back and on the neck. So that's very important. The second thing is we want to make sure that we carry the heavy items in a backpack close to our back. So, you know, the heavy items should be placed as far back in this backpack as possible so that they rest against the back and they're not lingering or pulling the child backwards in any way. The other thing that's real important is that the straps on the backpack should be nice and wide. The wider the strap, the better, because it actually distributes the weight over a greater period or a greater area and will take some pressure off the child's back. And then the last thing I tell people about backpacks is it's real important that they're worn correctly. You know, the kids like to throw their backpack over one shoulder, and the problem with that is when they do that, all that weight's on one side, causing stress and strain on their lower back. We prefer them to wear the backpack like it's meant to be with both straps. If you can get them to do that, that's great. If not, I tell people that we want them to wear the backpack. If they're going to wear it on one side, make sure they're switching sides, one side compared to the other. It's not as good as wearing it with both straps, but sometimes that's all we can do with our kids, that's for sure. So the last thing I tell people, I think, is that when we wear a backpack, we want to make sure that we wear that backpack close to our upper back, not in the hollow of the back. So a lot of times I see the kids too, they've got the backpack way down here in the hollow, and that causes all types of stress on the back and pulling. So if we can, we want to make sure we wear that backpack up in here. So I hope you enjoyed our class. At the end of class, each time, I usually open up for questions or thoughts, and some common things that people ask are, Dr. Minorik, when I'm driving for long periods of time, my back hurts, and driving can be very difficult. The car vibrates at a level that's not very good for the discs in the lower back. But the most common thing we see being a problem when people drive is that they ride on their wallet. And if you spend more than a half an hour driving, we want to make sure that you take that wallet out of the back pocket. Otherwise, your hips and pelvis are tilted one side compared to the other, and as they tilt, they'll cause irritation to the nerves. It kind of takes me to the next question, and a lot of times women will ask me about their purses, carrying their purses. And you know, a lot of times we do an exam, we check shoulders, and you'll see that one shoulder is much higher than the other. We actually came up with a term, we call that purse notch. You know, it kind of holds the purse up. And so we tell ladies that if you can get a purse that's shaped a lot like a backpack and you can use both straps on the backpack, that's great. For a while there, they had the fanny packs were pretty common, and that was pretty good. But if you're going to carry a purse that's heavy, we want to make sure that you switch sides, that you're not carrying it on the same side every single time. That way you won't develop that one-sided posture change that, you know, causes as many problems as it does. I hope you've enjoyed all of our tips from the class. I hope that there are some of them that are going to be beneficial to you. You know, we've all heard the sentence, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, and that's true. Posture is so incredibly important when it comes to our development over time and the wear and tear and the stress on our spine. And, you know, degeneration happens because we wear down over time. And if we can prevent that by keeping our posture as healthy as possible, that's obviously a good thing. Of course, I hope you never have back issues or you never have back problems, but if you do, I can be reached at a couple of different ways if you have questions or concerns about anything in the video, or questions or concerns about any type of back pain or neck pain. You're welcome to reach out to me. My email is my last name, Minorik, Minorik, the number 5 at gmail.com. My office number is 330-869-6566. Thank you for taking the time to, you know, spend looking at our videos and going through all the information. Most importantly, stay healthy. We'll talk to you soon.